Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Black Spring. If you are able to join me. Now, here again, this is a bit of a sporadic live stream, but of course, you're always welcome here. And this particular stream is basically entitled Stimulate or Stalemate or Set for Stalemate. And I'm coming to you with some of my own commentary or some of my own summation from the press conference featuring the president and, of course, the task force and, of course, the Surgeon General. Now, one of the first things I think to address is, of course, I think people are kind of alarmed about the activation of the National Guard. I think in maybe the three hotbeds right now on the West Coast, that would be, let's just say at least Washington State, California, and we would say New York. So I think that activation is going to be helpful on a logistic level, because I think that, of course, the healthcare industry and the ancillary staff, along with the professionals, the doctors and specialists, they need assistance with things, and it would relieve some of the I think some of the workloads. It would kind of lighten a bit of the workload. So I think some people are alarmed with that activation. Not to mention, it doesn't help that the press, the liberal media or the Mockingbird media or whatever you coin them, they are very much focused on fear and many things, and I will get into that. But it seems to be. I want to get to my first point, and then I'll kind of drop down to some of the smaller politics or some of the propaganda that we always deal with. So first, I'm going to talk about Pelosi. Now, I've made a video earlier, and I also I did a live stream earlier on what of course, the advocates and what these pro-abortion organizations want. And I'm going to tell you right away, I might be wrong. I'm not challenging or I'm putting out a bet of any sort, but I anticipate that Speaker Pelosi, that there's going to be, that if the left or the Democrats cannot pork roll this particular package, then they're going to hold up the stimulus package. I mean, I think the writing is on the wall. I mean, the private partnerships that they have with the abortion industry. I mean, I mentioned those specifically in my earlier live stream, but they're under pressure from those organizations. That's a whole industry that the left protects. They protect the abortion industry, and they are going to, I think that if they cannot get what they want if they cannot uphold that industry, they are going to delay and suppress, the release of the funds for the American people. That's my gut on this situation. Not to mention that the Federal Reserve has approved, and that's $2 trillion, the swell that I reported earlier, they've already approved, or they were already going to issue $700 million in grants and loans. So why not? Of course. And then in this particular press conference that the president just had, it was mentioned, the media was forthright and came right to President Trump and says, hey, Speaker Pelosi says that they might come up with their own package. So here again, this is going to be, I think, it's politicized already. It's not about helping the American people. It's about who can get the most kickbacks and who can get the most out of this bailout. That's my gut on that. And I do believe she's going to try to run the roost, because there's a way to there's a political ding, a political, you know, dig she can get into the president, and then she can also serve her abortion industry at the same time. So there's a lot of benefit in for her to hold this thing up. You know, she can serve many of her tactics. She can carry out a lot. She can do a lot of damage with what I anticipate that might happen. Because in the previous video that I did, they wanted more. They said they wanted more unemployment benefits. Okay, so what now? Now you've got to go back to the drawing table. You didn't get enough out of it, so now you need to go all the way back to the drawing table. And it's possible you're going to present your own bill. I mean, guys, I mean, the writing's on the wall. How's that going to turn out? You know, the first round, I mentioned in a previous video before that the president actually subverted and cleaned up the bill. The first trillion was the president cleaned up and said that there would be no funding for abortion, no federal funding for your eugenics, no federal funding for any of that. And here they are again. Here they are again. So that's my first point. And then the second point is more on the propaganda side. The typical, it's Groundhog's Day with the media as always. Now, I will tell you the biggest thing that I got from this press conference that they just closed out was one of the reporters asked the president, you know, are you interested in helping other countries, when he talked about the stimulus? And I'm just thinking, we have foreign aid. These countries already receive subsidies that nobody asked the American people, did they want to fund? So now now you're gonna use the president as an all occasion, you know, devil, because he's not going to use the stimulus for the American taxpayers to bail all the rest of the world out. I don't know if anybody's out there. I kind of jumped right into this because it's just a little bit much. Hi, Simply a Sweetheart. So what I was saying was, you know, if he already agreed to do the production in terms of the mask and whatever we need, because we are going to be mass producing some of these medical supplies. So I'm just saying, it's automatically, the press has already got they've already got their template set for globalism. So we'll see what that looks like in the papers tomorrow morning. But it's just, and then not to mention that, you know, he talked about how that we've made a lot of strides with the funding for HIV in Africa. So there's a lot that we do, and there's a lot that they're going to do, because it's a global issue. It's a global pandemic. So if we help other countries, then it's going to help overall. That's what happens. So hi, Simply a Sweetheart. So from there's that. And then the other point of, well, I do have a clip of Steve Bannon, giving his idea on how to best stimulate the actual economy. And I'm not sure if he was actually in total agreement with what he wants to do, because of course he has lots of advisors when it comes to actually, when it comes to what he wants to put into the economy. But I'll go ahead and bring that one out for you right now. Thank you for being here, God's child. Hi, how are you? Thank you for joining me for this segment of Black Spring. So just hang on just 1 second here. I will play a little bit of this. I will play just a little bit of this. Thanks again for joining me here.
States as local governments step up efforts to contain the coronavirus, while economists are predicting a lasting impact on the U.S. economy and our healthcare system as well. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin is forecasting, quote, a gigantic fourth quarter. Watch.
You're going to see a lot of pent-up demand. So I think you're going to see, when we get through the next few months and Americans see what's happening and we've killed this virus, people are going to be comfortable going back to work. We're going to be opening back businesses. And people are going to continue what they do.
And that was Steven Mnuchin with me last week on Mornings with Maria. I want to bring in Stephen Bannon, a former White House chief strategist. Steve, it is good to see you this morning. You have an idea in terms of what this economy should be doing. Tell us what your reaction is to the current stimulus and plans in place for these shutdowns or stay-in-home orders from various states.
Well, look, the president's a wartime president. You know, my colleague Jason Miller identified the president of that back in January when the president took the first big, bold move, which was to shut down all air traffic from China and to then quarantine people as they came into the United States that had the virus. You've seen his activity with Governor Cuomo working on this horrible situation in the New York medical system where President Trump has kind of turned American industry into an arsenal for democracy or an arsenal for healthcare to start building more ventilators and getting more masks out, et cetera. So you see these kind of wartime efforts. If you look at this situation we're in, you got to put it in three buckets: the pandemic, the economic crisis caused by the pandemic, both the short term and the deeper things on the supply chain, and then the financial crisis that's now on top of it in every financial market across every asset class in the world. And I think, I really respect Secretary Wolf, and I understand the mitigation strategy. But I think, and if you listen to Paul Bedard, I think it was at the Washington Examiner, said there was discussion starting about a much tougher, much tougher solution that got us there quicker. I don't think we have months to do this. I think what should happen, and my recommendation would be to kind of dovetail with President Trump's action, and get it done yesterday, is to drop the hammer. Don't mitigate the virus. Don't spread the curve, shatter the curve, and go full hammer on the virus right now with a full shutdown. Use the stimulus to kind of bridge that economic crisis. It may take $2 trillion, it may take $3 trillion to force cash into the little entrepreneur and to the little guy. And you do that. You got Steve Cortez has got a plan. Eric Bolling's got a plan. Bernie Marcus's Job Creators Networks has a plan of forcing cash into the system. That bridges us. Whether it takes 2 weeks or 4 weeks, we get through this hard and fast. And on the capital market side, you basically do what Kevin Warsh and Janet Yellen and Ben Bernanke are arguing for in the Financial Times and Wall Street Journal, which is merge the balance sheet of the Fed and the Treasury and use that as a lender of last resort to actual corporations. What the ECB and the Bank of England have been doing, we turned that balance sheet to save all the big companies. Okay, you save Boeing, you save the airline industry, you save all the big investment grade credits. You then solve the liquidity crisis and you solve the solvency crisis. Look, it's going to blow up our balance sheet. I don't know, $3, $4, $5 trillion, but we have to get through this. And what you do, one of the things I learned from President Trump, he calls me his best student, is that he is about getting it done yesterday. And if you want to get it done yesterday, you drop the hammer today on the virus.
Drop the hammer today. Look, I know that you started a show back in January. You saw the seriousness of this. In January, you had it, war room pandemic. You were the first to call Trump a wartime president. And I understand in your voice, in your tone, the emergency that we're talking about. But Ted Cruz tweeted this today. In negotiations for economic crisis relief, some are pushing for a special carve-out just for Boeing and GE. That would be wrong. Millions are losing their jobs. We don't need bailouts or corporate welfare. Those companies should participate in the same liquidity programs as everybody else. Steve, once you start bailing out one industry and one company, everybody else is going to want it. You're talking about shutting down a $22 trillion economy for a period of time. what is that going to look like on the other side, Steve? I mean, there's a reason the Journal wrote that op-ed, rethinking the coronavirus strategy.
President Trump is a wartime president. One of the wartime figures he admires is General Patton. General Patton said a simple plan violently executed today beats a more complicated plan that takes months and months to execute. We have to get through the pandemic part of this. We have to get through the virus. You see what's happening to the medical system in New York, okay? You have to get through this. And if you're going to go through hell, let's go through it as fast as possible. You have a bridging event. That bridge is the cash you put into the system to the little guy, much of what they're working on Capitol Hill, but there's also better ways to do it, to force cash into the system for the little guy. And then for the bigger guys, you obviously are going to have different negotiations. Yes, if they had shareholder buyback programs, maybe you work around the edges on that. We don't want to have a situation like in 2008 where basically the elites made all the money. However, we have plenty of time to adjudicate that on the other side of this. We have an economic inferno coming at us, okay? Secretary Mnuchin was talking about 20% unemployment. Remember, from the great crash in 1929, and our stock market over the last 3 weeks has been like the great crash in 29. When Roosevelt was elected, that was 2.5 years later. Unemployment didn't drop really off the market until 31 and 32. Now it's going to drop next week and the following week. That's why you have to get on top of this today. Look, President Trump's greatest virtue is his entrepreneurial spirit, his toughness, and his focus. Okay. And I'm just saying right now, not mitigate it, hammer it. And you're going to have to take the pain up front. We're going to have to shut it all down to kill the pandemic, bridge it with the cash infusion, and then take care of the solvency and liquidity problem with using the Fed and the Treasury Department to actually lend to corporate credits.
What you're saying is you want the powers that be to flood this economy with cash. You want those balance sheets combined, flood it with cash, send money to everybody, and deal with this later in terms of the impact to the economy. We've already lost how much in market value? 20, $25 trillion when you look at global markets, Steve. And then we've got a healthcare system on the brink right now. I want to get your take on that. Go ahead.
This is the point. We've already shredded 25 trillion, I think, in all capital markets throughout the world, just on the equity side. Look what's happened on the bond market. Look what's happened to companies. Look what's happened to jobs. We are on the brink of having permanent damage to the greatest economy in the world. Before this started, President Trump and the whole team had a great economy going. We can get back to that. But the way to do it is to hammer it now, go deep, and then the pushback will be, your time up will be even better. But you've got to flood it with cash today. You got to use every power of the Fed. In fact, new powers for the Fed, new powers for the Treasury. This is a war. And people in this town are still thinking of convention like it's 2008. This is so much deeper than 2008. And I'm not saying a giveaway to the corporation. That's the last thing I want.
Right. Yeah. We have 20 seconds left here. Do you worry that the healthcare system is on the brink? I was told yesterday by someone who said to me, look, we're only several hours away from no more beds, no more ventilators. Peter Navarro is working on getting the supply chain back here. But what's the impact there? Very quickly, Steve.
The CCP virus that the CCP unleashed on the world has now in the brink of potentially destroying the New York City healthcare system. That's why President Trump and Governor Cuomo are going all in. Every piece of equipment, the Navy's hospital ship, the Army Corps of Engineers, Mayor de Blasio looking for other spaces, the Javits Center, they're going all in for the gating event, the ICUs, the emergency room, and our great first responders, the doctors and nurses.
We're gonna check in with the healthcare industry when we talk with the CEO of Johnson & Johnson next. Steve, thank you.
Okay.
What if I told you just need one trade, once a week?
So welcome anybody that's just joined. Let's see, we had a few other people here earlier, but I will place the link in the bottom if you would like to jump on to this stream. If you have any insight or any commentary you'd like to add yourself, I will add that link right now. Let's see. Okay, so I am adding the link right now. Oops. what I was adding. So yeah, if you would like to hop on to comment on what you've heard so far. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot between, the press and, with the stimulus package. It's one thing, it's always, there's multiple levels in which, in which the president is dealing with, a lot of elements. And the point on that stimulus package was essentially, there's going to be some assistance for other countries in terms of supplies, but he did say that those it wouldn't be in the actual, maybe not in that stimulus package, because of the amount of foreign aid that we already give to many nations. So let's just be clear about that. I think he did make that pretty clear, that we would provide, medical assistance, and, but he's looking to America first, and not to have Americans being shafted, and also saving the American taxpayer, because most of the foreign aid that has been spoken of in the past, those nations are either not getting that aid, or it's been more of a kickback for the people who created the bill or the package in which they created. So I can see that the president is very consistent on, stimulating the American economy. This is not it's not a free for all or a government blow up. It's really not a government. It's not a time to create an alphabet of government programs for not only, it's not for a time to do that here. It's also not a time to disperse money from that particular package to the entire world, because if people haven't been paying attention, the stimulus package is being based on the 2018 tax returns. So I don't know where it's staggering to me, to the lack of that people just don't really understand that money doesn't just grow on trees. It's about the people who are actually contributing to the economy. Those are the ones that are going to take from this economy. If you're already benefiting from federal programs, you are not going to receive this funding in the stimulus. So there again, he was very firm on that. So this is also, I do think that the president is he's trying to be fiscally responsible. He's also, for people that have never really learned anything about economics by now, people should start to realize, if you haven't contributed to the economy, you're not going to be included so much when it comes to actually handing out direct cash payments. This is based on this is going to be based on the 2018 tax return. So if you didn't pay anything into it, it's going to be, with the exception of children, how would you take from that system? It's about the economy. It's not just about pulling money, printing, the Federal Reserve printing money, which I think the left would have no problem doing that, which I think they're actually going to hold this up. I would not be surprised if I'm wrong, then fine. It's not even about me being right. It's an observation just based on history says that if the left doesn't get what they want in all the populist and programs or cultural Marxism and isms that they come up with, then they're willing to hold it up, and they're willing to politicize the entire thing. So I do appreciate everybody for tuning in to this actual, if you're tuning into this actual stream, it's just that, it's always, here again, is Groundhog's Day for the liberal media that attend these press conferences. Very, very much Groundhog's Day. So, I mean, I can go on just one more, like even they started doing their immigration litmus test during this press conference. Oh, are you going to allow people to get tested if they're a legal alien or a legal immigrant? And he said yes, but then also it was nice that Mike Pence stepped in and said, "Hey, the Department of Homeland Security already addressed that question. They told you that they're not targeting emergency rooms or hospitals. Of course you're going to test someone that's if they show up for actual testing if they think that they have symptoms or this kind of a bit." It's just kind of it's irritating to Americans to see how they just want to paint the president as they want to kind of underscore or project some type of communist, tyrant or dictatorship on him. I mean, the way they were framing the questions, you would think that they were talking about, Stalin around 1930 something, that constitution of the communist constitution, and it was not. He talked about the Defense Production Act, and what that's actually going to do. He's not interested in nationalizing production. He's not interested in crushing capitalism or competition. And it's just they frame it up and try to set up these little landmines. And I think it's really gotten old. It'd be nice to see that they get some kind of balanced or more objective reporting, or just somebody that can actually be helpful and look at some numbers. I mean, they don't even seem to do their own homework before they come into these press conferences. They just start gaslighting and they speak to fear all the time. Well, this person's scared or that person's scared. Well, if you look at the facts, if you have facts, he's got professionals, and he's actually got the healthcare professionals there with him. He's turning many of the questions over to the task force because he's not equipped to answer all of these questions. Hi, David Furman. I will pause. Nice to see you. How are you coping? This has turned into more of a rant today, I guess, but it's just, I just kind of caught this one. It's just going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds this week. I think we have a lot of, there's a lot of material already, there's a lot to print this week. A lot of misinformation is going to go out for people who don't actually watch these press conferences. Those are the people that are going to be easily deceived. Let's see. Here we have a comment from Patrick Jane Forums, aka Killer Whale. Everybody in the building, if you are looking for a great resource, a great person, great live streamer, great resource, you have that in Patrick Jane Forums, aka Killer Whale. So even though this is not a growth stream, I encourage anyone to find a kindred spirit and go for it. So I'll read this comment. It says the Dems used crises and anything major as a form of self-promotion. Like, look here, the Republicans only wanted this, but U.S. Dems got so much more. Dems got so much more for the American people. Look how great our party is. Well, we'll see. We'll see what this turns out. There's just a lot going on. I don't know. Did anybody catch that the president discovered that Mitt Romney has been in isolation? Did anybody catch that? I mean, this was to me, that was a fully loaded press conference with the task force this time, because it was just a lot. I think that the pressure is turning up because of the economy and because of the amount of time and because, of the unknown. He was asked if there was a time in which, he thought that, that things would reopen. And he says, he pretty much would not, he didn't have an answer for that, which is to me fair. Because if he gave anything, he would be called a liar, so I'm going to go ahead and post this next one. Hold on, it says, David Furman, I am fine and healthy. Very good, DJ. How are you? Nice to see you. Let's see. All right, so here we have, yes, he did not know at all. I mean, I think that's, I mean, it's not real. Some of these questions, I don't even know if they're not. It's just a little bit beyond fair. It's just not even realistic. But there again, it's like they just, it's like they just want anything to, because, I guess we all have to keep in mind, this is an election season, and people are going to look to play dirty. I will tell you this. I'm curious. Has anybody heard anything? Where's Joe Biden? Where's Bernie Sanders? I haven't heard any type of attack or haven't heard anything from either of those candidates. I would say at least can we say a week? Maybe, going into this week, I would think it'll be a week, but it's been pretty quiet. Also, the other question came up the other question that kind of stood out was he was asked by the press if he would cross-reference or seek the advice of any of previous administrations dealing with this pandemic and economic crisis. And he said no, that he would not. So I'm just, I'm sure they're going to, he said, if I thought I could learn a thing, I would, or if it would save a life, then I would. But he did mention that he didn't want to bother any of the previous administrations because, I do think this crisis is unique. And that's up to him. That's up to him on, how he can choose how he wants to throw his own gauntlet down. And that's what he does. So I don't think he's wrong for not, conferring. And, to me, that's a little subjective anyway. I think it's a little subjective anyway. So let's see. Here we go. DJ Vision Barnett says, those old men don't want to get sick. Yeah, that's a good point. I would imagine they are pretty vulnerable, I guess, when you consider, I guess, the age factor for both of those candidates. But I will say that, I don't know, President Trump must have like an immune system of steel or something, because he seems to, to me, he rarely looks like weathered or beat up, as I say, beat up, and because, I think he's in the trenches all the time. And I don't know, I guess, where do you find time to rest with all of these things going on? So does anybody have any update on what's going on in your area? I think I will back off of I think I pretty much covered what I was going to mention. Well, the only thing I did not mention was, I kind of want to do a little bit of analysis on what Bannon was saying, Bannon's approach. Now, to me, I don't think we can trust the Federal Reserve. So when he says to use all the resources, all the power, use all the power of the Treasury, the Feds, and I'm just thinking that's kind of gotten us into where we are, because, I don't think that the Fed system is not the most honest of centralized banking that we're dealing with. So I don't think, I think he's already decided that he's pretty much going to do another route in handling the economy. But Bannon says pump as much cash as necessary, shut things down, pump as much cash, and deal with it later. Well, feel the fear, settle into it, feel the pain, settle into it, and then worry about it on the other side. So I'm sure there's all kinds of he would be, blasted with economic recommendations. But I guess we'll see how it all unfolds this week. We'll see if we're up for an actual stalemate when it comes to the funding of this bill and what's actually going to be funded with this stimulus bill. Does anybody else have? I think I included. Shout out to everybody that's here. I will make sure that I do better with that. We have DJ Vision Barnett here. Nice to have you here. DJ is a great YouTuber. He has lots of Okay, so it looks like I'm back there. We had Simply a Sweetheart here. We had God's Child here. I'm not sure who else. Okay, I think we pretty much covered that. Let's see. Yeah, so like I said, if anybody wants to hop on here, but I do think that the deck is pretty much stacked for the week. And I'm saying, nobody wants to be. I mean, I think people are looking for that. Not only are they starving for truth, but they're looking for some type of unity in, this crisis. We have seen the left, actually, give the president credit on his handling. We've seen the tone change on that. We go all the way to California and then back to New York. So I think everybody wants to see the U.S. survive, this pandemic. They want to see. So Patrick James Forums back here. How's everybody doing? And here, I'll put this link back here, just in case, like I said, I will have a guest coming up. Hopefully, there's somebody that I really would like to bring on, and hopefully I can get them. Okay, so this is the actual link. You can grab that link if you would like to come on. And so we have a comment from David Furman. It says, just wondering what happened to that interview that you talked about yesterday. Well, I didn't have an actual, didn't have an interview for yesterday. It just ended up being just an open stream. I thought there was a chance that I might, but I never confirmed. I could never confirm that. But I'm hoping that same person is going to be able to come on. And of course, I will always open the floor for anybody to come on and engage in that with that guest. I'm pretty much. I'm trying to give a commentary to the actual press conference task force meeting, and I think I pretty much covered. Yeah, I have somebody now. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Very well. Thank you very much. Welcome to Black Spring. And would you like to, I'm going to just kind of wing this right now because I've wanted to have you on for a while, but why not today? So would you like to tell everybody about yourself, or just tell us about who you are on YouTube? And do more.
You guys matter of fact, I'm about to put my name here so you guys can check me out also. But I do a lot of 2A videos and all about new gun laws and things they're trying to implement, especially during this time right now. They're trying to slip some things into a stimulus package that has nothing to do with stimulus, Democrats specifically, and sometimes I think they just think they're slick. So, like right now, right now, I think in Ohio, I have to specifically check, but it's a bill that's being passed right now where there's no there gonna be no arrests at all for burglaries, robberies, things of this nature. And that's specifically due to the coronavirus. So, so right now, and I'm in law enforcement, by the way. So that's definitely gonna do. Crime is going up already. So, and it's funny because they're cutting our hours.
Oh no.
Yeah, they're cutting our hours, and then the crime is going up. So it's like, and also in California, they're gonna reuse hotels for homeless shelters. Right now. But I don't know how that's gonna go with the pandemic.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate that. I mean, like you're getting into a lot of things that I've wanted to address. I mean, I'm sure I certainly want to have you back on to talk about. It's nice that you talked about law enforcement and you get to see, you got your hands on with you get to see what's at the stats, the rise, the falls, and you get to see exactly what's you get the breakdown of what's going on, the specifics on it. So I mean, I don't know if you want to, do you want to, anything you want to comment on specifically? You have the floor. I'm happy to have you on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DJ Vision Barnett. And did you say you provided that link? Well, I'll make sure we get it definitely before the close of this.
Yeah. Yes, I did send the name in the chat. Also right now here, in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, we do have National Guard that's already deployed. So
Wow.
yeah, so they are helping right now. Most of them are unarmed, and just helping with supplies and health supplies. But the only worry was that we have new gun owners out of nowhere, mostly liberals and Democrats, that are first time gun buyers, and they don't necessarily know anything about guns. So when they go out and then they think they get a gun, they think they get a handgun, just like that, and it's a waiting period, and out here you need a license and all this stuff. So it's a big surprise to them. So ammunition prices are sky high right now. So I mean, all we could do is just check up on our local legislatures and laws to make sure things don't pop up randomly. And yeah, we don't want to wait until we look outside and see the big boys rolling down our streets, man.
No.
This lockdown situation they're talking about. Maryland is already children are not going to school. Canada is paying for their kids to move to the next grade, and they won't be going to school for the rest of the year. I talked to somebody in Canada on my stream, and somebody and also that lives in the Wuhan province. Um, that's old. You can check that interview out on Old School Wolf, and yeah, it was actually a guy that actually lives in the Wuhan province now. They're just about done with this situation, but we're playing a catch up game at this point. So
Okay.
maybe we need to. He was telling me maybe we need to look at some things that they're doing, but also they are having a civil fallout right now. They're definitely having a civil fallout right now. I don't necessarily know the situation on why and what's going on with them, but they definitely are. And I was actually trying to see if I can find this so you guys can look at it. Okay, I actually found it. That's cool. If you guys can see, this is recent.
Wow. So that's their civil unrest is happening in the metro, the transit system. Wow.
So I mean, once one good thing happens, another thing happens when it comes to communist countries. So that's that's nothing to be surprised about. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, we need to take a lesson from this. So
Yeah.
I hope we do. And yeah, at this moment, I actually did stock up on a couple of things.
What'd you stock up on?
Okay, I stocked up right now on some meal readies. You
MRE?
know, because you never know. I mean, yeah, you just never know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting it in on here. We got MREs.
Just never
Well,
know.
thanks for showing those. I will tell you this, that I think now I'm speaking a little bit to the 2A. I heard about a week or two ago that there was no ammo like in the country, and I called my own range, and they said, "Well, we only have it for the members right now. We only have it for the range." And so, I mean, it's not that I don't have any, but the fact that I can't to get more, you're having to You're really having to turn over rocks and stones and
Yeah, they're on back order right now. They're on back order for the most part. If you didn't catch it when the virus just began to spread, they started stockpiling from that moment, and then the stockpile got bought out. For example, when I went to the range, a guy got at least 500 rounds just to take to his house. So,
what?
so yeah, yeah. So, and have a nice day. And I'm like, come on, what about us? You know, so I can't blame him, but I need some too. So with that
Right,
being
right,
said,
right.
yeah, the ammunition prices are going up sky high.
Yeah, well,
It,
that's totally that's great. That's great. That's real time information. Like I said, I am I haven't been to the range in a little while. I'm embarrassed to say, but I will get it together. But like I said, I mean, I guess if I went, I guess they would make it. They would figure out how to service me when I got there. But in terms of me buying anything, we have gun registry here in California, and sorry, it looks like I'm buffering a little bit or something here, guys. I do apologize. I hope this is not. If
it just
anybody,
looks a little blurry, a little focused thing going
I
on.
know it got a little wonky all of a sudden. It seems like it's clearing up a little bit. Yeah, but see, now I'm getting a little foggy again. So what I could do, I'm so glad you came on. What I can do is we can do another. We can actually put one together, and I will reset my whole setting here. But I'm so glad you came, and all of that's like really valuable information. I mean, I tell you, like we were talking about yesterday. I'll make this my last point on this one. Like what makes us vulnerable during a crisis like this? Because I've been hearing about a couple scams in which people are knocking on doors claiming to be the DoD and they're robbing people. Also, so yeah, I get a little bit concerned about things like that. And then just like the grocery stores, the shelves and all being, pretty bare in some cases, that people are actually kind of getting mugged a little bit, robbed a little bit, even in the grocery
Yep, people are
store.
getting robbed for groceries. Instead of robbing a family of a friend, she got robbed for all the groceries.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, like what do you do? Well, for you, like how like are they supporting us? Or is law enforcement like? I mean, you guys cannot respond to. We are our first responders, but
Yeah, I
you guys
think it's
can't
I
respond to
think it's seems like a discretion thing, because yeah, it seems like a discretion thing because I think of it as if I had to take care of my whole jurisdiction, I'm the first person that's going to be at risk. But not just that, I could spread it to anybody.
Mhm.
So that's the main thought. But then I go, okay, I'm gonna tell you just like this. When I went to my post yesterday at AutoZone, the security guard that I relieved had a gas mask on the whole shift. Gas mask. I looked at him like he was funny, but at the same time, I'm like, golly, like and everybody in AutoZone had, because AutoZone they actually do have masks. For
Wow.
anybody who needs to know this, they do
Oh
have
wow.
masks.
You guys are down. Okay. And
But they do.
just really quick, let me just read this one comment. David Furman says, I have equipment so I can reload bullets if I need to.
Yes, yes. Reload.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, I'm trying to, I think being prepared is the answer to, when you're the fear and all the fear that we're getting, it's leading people astray, and they're going the wrong direction with that. But if you're prepared, I can show you, I will show you all the masks that I have, that I bought. I bought like 3 different kinds of masks. I have what I call my pandemic/earthquake kit. I got everything except the hatchet in this one, you know.
Mm.
but you know, like, yeah, it's like survival. I'm just wondering, like, where are we going, and or for how long?
I mean, yeah, I actually do. It's my military surplus bag right here. I actually do have a mask, you know.
What
So
is that? What is that called? What exactly? Like, how could I get that mask?
this specific one, you get on eBay. They have plenty of them on eBay.
eBay.
This is called the NBC. Oh, it's the NBC gas mask specifically, but I don't know the number. They have numbers. I don't know the number.
All right, guys, everybody out there, if you're listening, this is
Definitely NBC gas mask.
DJ Vision Barnett. You know, you should totally. He's got the gear, and he's law enforcement, so happy to have him here. I will be having him back on Black Spring, and at that time we can go over, like, you know, specifics, or we can go over specifics of the time. So I'll kind of let him navigate on that. Is there anything else you want to share? Do you want to tell them the name of you're on, like, you are on social media?
Yep. So you can check me out on YouTube is Vessi LLC, VESI_LLC on Instagram, and also on YouTube it's DJ Vision Barnett, space Barnett, BARNETTE. And you could also email me on djvisionbarnett@gmail.com for any updates, links. If you want to have a chat, if you want to come on my show, if you want to do a show together, podcast, hey, I'm open for it.
Awesome. Awesome. And yes. So it says, I just want to make sure I'm going to put this in the link for them. You said for Instagram, it's VESI_LC.
Yes.
Okay, so that's on Instagram. I got that one. And then the other one is on, did you say on YouTube or?
Yep, on YouTube, DJ Vision, space Barnett.
Okay. DJ Vision space. Okay. And then, yeah. But yeah, definitely we'll have you back here, and you can definitely give us, maybe give us some tips about what we can do to kind of stay vigilant, to stay vigilant. It's not fear factoring. We're talking about being prepared. A lot of people don't know the difference anymore. Oh, you're driving fear. You're doing this. No, no.
Just ask Democrats right now. They're buying up all the guns. Know nothing about them.
I find that to be interesting. They're
changing. They're changing.
They're politically anti-gun. Is that not? I mean,
right.
Chime in, because I'm thinking, are they thinking it's not going to go so well for them, or like, I don't know what their motivation.
They realize when law enforcement doesn't come for petty theft or smaller crime, I have to protect my house and my family. That's all it's about. Once that light bulb comes on, or once it touches their home, they change completely and their life has changed. And it's usually people that feel protected, have a sense of protection. I live in an upscale house. I live in a gated community. So we have a lot of gated communities have police at their gates. I don't know about now, but so a lot of them feel protected, so at this point, everybody wants to protect their family and take the responsibility into their own hands. That's how I feel.
Wow. Well, like I said, I really appreciate you for being here. And like I said, I don't mean to close, this out. If there's anything, is there anything else you want? I'd probably say about another 10 minutes. If you want to take 5 or 6, that's
to check out more updates on Second Amendment laws and new things that are going on, please visit a good friend of mine, Guns and Gadgets, please. He has
is that spelled out AND, Guns and Gadgets?
Let me check it out. Let me be specific on this one. Yes, guns and gadgets. Guns _and_ gadgets on Instagram for all your Second Amendment news, and guns and gadgets on YouTube. So same thing on YouTube except for no underscores.
Okay.
He's also a law enforcement guy. He has a bigger following than I do. He's been doing it longer than me, and he helps me, and I help him. So that's how I've been going about it. Getting guys. I've been doing it. I've also talked to some guy in VA that's part of the Defense League in VA. For Second Amendment. So we're really trying to create a real community. Community of patriots for the most part, and we're basically building that foundation from there, grassroots. That's how we're gonna go about this.
Well, I think that's fantastic. Yes, because I think maybe even our next interview, maybe I can get together with you and you can tell me about, because I'd love to know. It just seems like you guys are under attack. Law enforcement is under attack. You know, I'm sorry, but I grew up under the DARE program, and
Yeah, I know.
sorry. Well, that was a Reagan. Was it the Reagan years? I grew up under that. You know, like, but then it was always a matter of respect. The respect came even before the DARE program. So, you know, it wasn't about, you know, everybody's out to get me, or, you know, it wasn't like that. At least that wasn't the respect that wasn't the way it was framed. And it wasn't the way that it was taught to me and how to deal with, you know, law enforcement. It was always a matter of respect. And I always looked to them as a resource for help. So with that said, it looks like I'm spinning wheels again here, but like I said, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for coming on, and you are certainly you're certainly on my list for an official your time, you know, and we're looking here to connect and support each other in this community and grow together. So if there's anything I can do, just let me know, and I will certainly be in touch. And with that said, I'd like to thank everybody else for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And yeah, also, if you can like, subscribe, share. I have a comment for you. Awesome guest comes from Patrick Jane Forums, aka Killer Whale. Killer Whale is your man for sure. He's definitely a great resource. And also Patrick James Forums, aka Killer Whale, said, I'd love for DJ to be on Tony Patriot's show to really get connected with that big community. See, there you go.
I appreciate you. I will check that out.
Like your growth is coming. Like, yeah, I love to talk to law enforcement, because I'm just thinking, like, whenever I just want to, you know, find out what's going on and what your guys' perspective is. It seems like you guys are under attack to me more than ever. So once again, thank you so much, DJ Vision. I will be in touch right away. And thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring. You guys have a safe rest of your Sunday, and
wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Yes, soap and water is better than the Purell and all the others. All right, guys, take care.
All right.